Solving polynomials with higher degrees is basically your chance to use all your factoring techniques at one time. However, though you may look at this and say this is supposed to have 3 answers, you can't start solving the problem unless it equals 0. You need to add 8 to both sides. After you rewrite your equation, you may then start factoring to solve. Now, this has 4 terms in it. More than likely, we want to use factoring by grouping, or what I call the bam-bam method. You simply take your first pair and your second pair and group them together. Bam! Bam! And with this instance, you're able to then factor using the GCF. You say, what do they have in common? Well, they both have an x squared in common. What do these have in common? Well, they both can be divided by 25, and since this binomial starts with a negative, we're going to pull out a negative 25 here. After we divide, we're going to get x plus 2, and after we divide here, we're also going to get x plus 2. We know we're doing this correctly because the inside terms are matching. If they're not matching, you're not doing this correctly, or the problem can't be factored. So when you factor by grouping, basically you're saying x plus 2 is a factor, and x squared minus 25 is a factor. Now this all equals 0. You're then going to break the problem into 2 parts. You're going to say, well, I have my x plus 2 equals 0, and I'm going to have my x squared minus 25 equals 0. This side is the easiest to solve. You basically just have to use the inverse operation to both sides, subtract 2, therefore x equals negative 2, that's one answer. On this side, you have a quadratic, and the reason you have a quadratic is because you have a power of 2. So you're going to get 2 answers. Now you could use the quadratic formula. It is always a sure way to answer any type of quadratic. Or, because there's no b term, what you can do is isolate x very easily. You'll say, add 25 to both sides. In order to get rid of the power of 2, you take a radical from both sides. X is going to equal 5. However, because this is a quadratic, there needs to be 2 answers. And the reason there needs to be 2 answers for this is because 5 squared makes 25, and negative 5 squared makes 25. So there's 1 answer, there's 2 answers, which makes sense because now you have 3 answers to your given problem.